Hello and welcome. My name's Graham Crosby. I'm the careers leader across Greater Shepparton Secondary College. We've got a careers team on each campus, and obviously you're joining us because your child is in Year 10 and we'll be selecting subjects for 2021 doing a Year 11 course. Welcome. So this video will be available as a recorded session so that you will be able to review it later on if everybody's not able to sit in with your family. Whilst it probably seems that it was just yesterday that your child started their Year 10 studies, in the coming days they're actually going to have to start considering what it is that they'd like to do in 2021 as a Year 11 student. Tonight's presentation is to assist you to understand the options that are available to them and the kind of things that need to be considered to ensure that they make the best possible choice for themselves. We'll be focusing on three main things. Firstly, explaining the course options for completing Year 11 and 12. Secondly, exploring what VET is and what options are available within VET. And finally, we'll be detailing how it is that we will be undertaking counselling here at Greater Shepparton Secondary College, and also what kind of resources are available to assist your child and yourself in order to make the best possible choices. Let's start by comparing the differences between being a Year 11 student and being a Year 10 student. Firstly, students choose between two different senior secondary certificates, one called VCE and the other that's called vCAL. As a senior student, you aren't required to take subjects from each learning area. You'll recall when your child was in Year 7 that they got a broad taste of lots of different subjects. As they've moved through secondary school, they've been able to spend more time doing the things that they enjoy and gaining a deeper skill level in those areas. In fact, in a VCE course, there is only one compulsory subject, and that is English. A Year 11 student can also undertake a VET subject. We'll explain what a VET subject is in a bit more detail later on, but it is tied to a national training qualification. Finally, some Year 10s undertake a Year 11 subject whilst they're doing Year 10. We call that fast tracking. It's getting a head start on your VCE. Equally, a Year 12 student can undertake a university level subject as part of their VCE and gain credit towards a university qualification. When making choices about subjects in Year 11 and 12, there's a broad range of things that need to be considered. Students should start by considering a pathway that they find interesting. If they're interested, they'll be motivated to do well. They should consider choosing a pathway that they're able to achieve success in. A pathway that leads to the career or the job that they are interested in. It should be a pathway that prepares them for further training and tertiary courses that they are considering. It's important to understand at this point that it's really about keeping opportunities open. It's about making sure that the course that you choose enables a broad range of options as you move forward. As you know, it's very difficult to be able to predict what it is that you're going to like to do when you're a bit older. The two program choices at Greater Shepparton Secondary College, in fact across all Victorian colleges, are VCE, the Victorian Certificate of Education, and vCAL, the Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning. This graphic is quite useful to be able to identify the differences between these two courses. You'll see that both are 2-year qualifications, You'll see that the VCE has a requirement about the number of subjects that need to be completed. You'll see in the vCAL option that it lists the subjects that must be done. It's compulsory to do literacy, to do numeracy, to do a subject called work-related skills, and personal development. The choice for a vCAL student is which particular VET they undertake. It's compulsory to do a VET. An alternative to doing a VET, though, is picking up a part-time apprenticeship or an SBAT. Now, SBATs are employment, and as such, students need to apply for positions that come up and be selected by those employers. But the qualification that they gain through that SBAT carries the same kind of national training qualification that the VET subject does. And that's why it's credited against vCAL. As part of vCAL, you'll also complete a community project which may be done in or out of school. vCAL also requires undertaking work placement, both in Year 11 and in Year 12. In the VCE course, you'll see that you need to complete an English plus 5 other subjects. If you're doing a VET, then in fact you'll complete English plus 4 other subjects, one of which will be VET. The reason for that difference is to ensure that the student doesn't miss out on any other classes on the day that VET is run, which is a Wednesday. You'll notice that the outcomes, what they can lead to for the 2 courses, is a little bit different. VCE and vCAL identify that you can join the workforce, you could undertake an apprenticeship or traineeship, you could undertake TAFE training, but you'll see that there's only one direct arrow that leads towards university, and that comes from VCE. What that's saying is not that it's not possible to complete university after having done vCAL, but there might be a step in between, and that step would probably be TAFE, or it might be undertaking university training later in life as a mature age student. As previously mentioned, VET is an additional option. You'll see here that it's referred to as VET DSS, and that's simply saying that it's delivered to secondary students. It's available as a series of subjects deliverable at Greater Shepparton Secondary College, or it's also available through Goulburn Ovens TAFE. It can be completed as part of a VCE or a vCAL course, but as already mentioned, it is compulsory in a vCAL course. The alternative to that, the school-based apprenticeship or traineeship, works by being a part-time apprenticeship. It involves you being in the workplace at least 1 day a week. Students need to source their own placement or employment. The school will support them with that, but we're not an employment agency. Students receive formal training through a registered training organisation in their SBAT, and that will usually involve on-the-job training as well as some theory-based stuff which might be bookwork. The qualification that comes out of an SBAT is equivalent to completing the VET. The advantage, obviously, in an SBAT is that it's paid employment. VCE, the Victorian Certificate of Education, is usually taken over 2 years, but it can be taken over 3. VCE units are numbered 1 to 4. Effectively, those numbers refer to the semesters in which they are undertaken. Year 11, units 1 and 2, unless of course you're fast tracking, and a Year 10 student fast tracking will already be undertaking units 1 and 2. And then units 3 and 4 are completed in Year 12, or after units 1 and 2 have been completed. The difference between those is that units 3 and 4 must be taken together as a sequence. You can't choose to just do unit 4 In order to pass vCE, there are certain requirements. You must complete satisfactorily 16 units in total. There needs to be at least 3 units of an English, including units 3 and 4 of that English. So in other words, you must complete satisfactorily both Unit 3 and 4 in the English. In total, you must satisfactorily complete 4 Unit 3 and 4 sequences, including an English. The VET subjects can contribute towards these units. The contribution that they make varies between qualifications, and that's something that needs to be closely looked at by investigating the TAFE flyer. Typical vCE program look like? Well, in Year 11, our students take 6 subjects per semester. In other words, they'll complete 12 units in Year 11. That will be different, of course, for those students who's choosing a VET as part of their vCE. Students take 5 Unit 3 and 4 sequences over a whole year in Year 12. So in other words, they're completing 10 units in their Year 12. So students may complete as many as 22 units in the whole of their vCE. And you'll remember that the minimum number is 16. Units 1 and 2 subjects can be taken as single units. So, for instance, you could complete Unit 1 Media and decide that that's really not what you wanted to be able to continue with, and then pick up a Unit 2 in another area if that fits into your program. Unit 3 and 4, though, are different. They must be taken over the whole year as a sequence. We had earlier on referred to an English, and the reason why we were referring to an English is that there are actually 4 English subjects, one of which is called English, another that is called Literature, and another that is called English Language. Now, the best person to give advice about the most appropriate English subject to complete will be your English teacher from this semester or from previous semesters. Bridging English as an additional language, Bridging EAL, has actually specific requirements for entry, and they relate to the opportunities to learn English previously. So for students who've come from a background where they haven't had English speaking schools as part of their education, there are special requirements for which they may be able to qualify to complete Bridging EAL in preparation for doing EAL as a Year 12 English. All vCE students must attempt Units 1 to 4 of one of these Englishes. They can, of course, opt to take 2 English subjects, and many do. So here's a list of the subjects available for Year 11 students to complete in 2021. It's been arranged in learning area groups. Of course, there's no compulsion to choose subjects from particular learning areas other than English. Studio Arts appears a bit differently there, and the reason for that is that as part of the subject Studio Arts, an investigation is done in both photography and ceramics mediums, and equally in product design and technology in the technology faculty, both metal and wood are investigated. In the LOTE group there, Auslan, Italian and Japanese are the subjects that would be delivered on Greater Shepparton Secondary College campuses. But there is scope for a student to choose a subject outside of that group, perhaps German, and that would be done through a different education provider, perhaps as distance education, as is the case with Victorian School of Languages. They just enrolled in a vCE subject with that particular provider, and they would do one less subject through Greater Shepparton Secondary. In the maths groups, it's probably worth noting that General Maths is completed in Year 11, and that the sequence from General Maths is into Further Maths. That's the Year 12 version of General Maths, whereas Math Methods is done in both Year 11 and 12 as a sequence, as is Specialist Math. Okay, vCAL, the Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning. It's a hand-on option for Year 11 and 12. It's applied learning, it's doing. It's a senior secondary qualification that's recognised by both TAFE institutes and employers. And it develops pathway opportunities into apprenticeships, traineeships, and further education and training like TAFE. The reason why the pathway opportunities are so well developed is because a significant part of vCAL is the integration of work experiences or experiences of work, such as structured workplace learning. vCAL doesn't exclude a student from going to university, as has been previously mentioned. It just means that if a student wished to go from vCAL into university, that there would be an additional step, and probably that would be TAFE. The vCAL program consists of 2 vCAL subjects, personal development and work-related skills, some literacy, either a vCAL literacy or a VCE English, numeracy, you could do a VCE math, and of course a VET course or school-based apprenticeship. Students who wish to do a school-based apprenticeship must select a VET. Then, when their school-based apprenticeship is confirmed, we will withdraw them from that particular VET. And the reason being for that, we want to make sure that there is some certainty to the student's course. And if it hinges on potential employment, then that can lead to a missed opportunity. A significant part of the vCAL program is the experiences of work, whether that's work placement through structured workplace learning, whether it's through visits into workplaces, whether it's part of particular subjects and seeing the application of those subjects in work. A significant part of the vCAL program is understanding the connection between the workplace and the learning that's happening in the classroom. There are 3 levels of vCAL qualification: foundation, intermediate and senior. As you move from foundation up through to senior, students must display a greater level of independence. At the senior level, they're almost totally independent and just being guided by the teacher and being challenged by the teacher. At the foundation level, the student will be far more heavily supported in their learning. The decision about which particular level will be made as the student progresses through the course. vCAL involves a mixture of classroom, work placement and community-based contexts. The students who should take vCAL are those who are seeking a vocational pathway at the end of school. It can be the ideal leading to particular areas of work, whether that's an apprenticeship or a traineeship or another kind of work. The course allows for students to be able to gain practical experience and show their skills to potential employers through structured workplace learning. Students who learn best when their work is practical and applied, ideally are suited to vCAL. And students who don't wish to achieve an ATAR are suited to vCAL. Okay, VET DSS, VET delivered to secondary students. So as already been explained, it's vocational education and training. Greater Shepparton Secondary is offering 6 different VET courses: building construction, engineering, community services, business, music industry, and that will be a focus on sound production, and sport and rec. They'll be delivered on campus at Greater Shepparton Secondary. TAFE offers multiple other options. I'd like to introduce Lisa Kerr from Goulburn Ovens TAFE, who will explain VET in a little bit more detail.
Hi, my name's Lisa and I'm a VET Delivered to Secondary Student Coordinator here at TAFE. Generally every year we have the privilege to be able to come out to your school, Meet with yourself as the student, your parents, and the teachers to discuss the wide variety of exciting options we have for you should you wish to participate in a VET subject with us while at school. However, because of the dreaded COVID-19 this year, it's shaken things up a little bit. We are putting this presentation on in the instance that we can't make it out to your school to meet with you personally. The idea of this is to give you a bit of an overview of what your options are across the 4 main campuses. Please also be advised that as a first point of contact, any course you do as a VET student with us at TAFE does need to be endorsed by the school. So as a first point of contact, please discuss your options with your school coordinator. So enjoy the presentation and we look forward to seeing you with us soon. Thank you.
So let's have a bit of a look at what VET delivered to secondary students at TAFE looks like in 2021 and what's involved. VET DSS explained. VET stands for Vocational Education and Training, and VET DSS are VET delivered to secondary students programs. We offer a range of entry-level VET qualifications to secondary students, whether you're a VCE or a vCAL student. Many of the VET programs are nationally accredited. Some are full qualifications and some are partial qualifications. Studying VET can open up some really great career pathways in really fast-growing industries. It can also lead on to further studies at university and so many more. VET literally can take you anywhere depending on how you apply yourself. VETIS programs, what can we choose between? TAFE actually has 19 different VETIS programs on offer for 2021. First of all, where you can see in green application required against some of these courses, this means it's not a direct entry course. What this means is there will be some form of online application you will need to submit, which generally asks also for some school reports as well as an updated version of your resume. Often a lot of these courses that have application required will also have face-to-face interview time with TAFE staff to ensure you're the correct candidate for that course. So if we have a look down the left side, we start with Animal Studies, which is an online course with mandatory placement at our Wangaratta campus. We have Automotive, Building and Construction, Community Services with an application, Design Fundamentals, Early Childhood Education, again with an application, Education Support, also with an application. We have Electrotechnology, which actually has a pre-entry test, which is a mathematical type test. So we will structure that into the later part of the year to ensure that the candidates can complete this before they are selected and enrolled into the electro course. We have Engineering Trades, Engineering, Digital and Robotics. Equine Studies, again, like Animal Studies, is an online course and does require an application and also has mandatory placement at our Wangaratta campus. We have Hairdressing, Health Services, which has an application, Information, Digital Media and Technology, which is IT, Kitchen Operations, Makeup, Plumbing, Sport and Recreation, and Tourism. So as you can see, there's quite a wide range of courses that you have to choose between. So why would you choose a VETIS subject to sit alongside your school studies? I would say, why not? I think you've been provided with a fantastic opportunity, whether or not you see a course area that you know you want to get into, or you can see a course that you think maybe might be of interest. Either way, a VETIS subject is going to be able to give you the opportunity to trial that and see whether or not it may be just a hobby or it could be a career pathway for you. All of the courses are industry specific, so they're of standard that would be required for you to go and work in that industry should you wish to. And either way, you're going to learn skills and become more confident as well. So not just industry specific skills, but also just the general confidence levels that are going to make you really employable. There's a lot of practical in most of these courses. There is the theory also, of course, but the practical is what's really great, and it can break up your school week with giving you the ability to really put some skills into practical trades. There's also practical placements, and we do recommend that with most of the courses. Some have mandatory placement, others it is highly recommended for you to go out and trial the industry and see whether or not it's something that you think you want to do long term. It might be just a passion or a personal interest. As I said, you might just like to do something as a hobby and trial it. Nothing to lose. Some of these courses also can give you credits into your VCE studies as well. So there can be some really great benefits in terms of that. And there's more information that can be found on that in our course guide. Okay, the fun stuff. Fees, feedback, and expectations. So all of our courses are a 2-year commitment. So they do go for 2 years in duration. They are every Wednesday from 9 a.m. till 3:20 p.m. The delivery locations where we offer these courses are Shepparton at our Friar Street campus. We have William Orr and Archer Street, as well as the placement at the GVH Hospital. And Seymour also we have, which is at Wallace Street. Wangaratta has Docker Street and Tone Road campuses. For the Shepparton students, we do provide a bus service, which is free of charge, which we can discuss at a later date. There is a timetable for this and different pick-up and drop-off collection points, which is fantastic for those students who are not central to the Shepparton area. Now, GoTAFE is an adult learning environment, and this is where it does differ from your school environment. So you are considered as an adult while you are on campus with us here at GoTAFE, and adult expectations go along with that. So on your breaks and lunch periods, you are able to go wherever you like as long as you are coming back to classes at the prescribed times. You're responsible for yourself during that time and treated as an adult while you're on campus. Material fees are payable for each course, and again, that is located in our course guide. There is an 80% attendance rule for these courses. So you are basically committing to a 2-year course within those timeframes every Wednesday. You don't attend on the school holidays, but you are basically required in class every Wednesday. If you are unwell or something of the sort, you do need to chat to your trainer about that, and that is a requirement. If you fall below the 80% rule, we liaise back with your school. So we provide updates to the school on a weekly basis for all students, so they are very aware of what's happening. Anyone that falls under that 80% rule is basically at risk of not completing their qualification. So you're doing yourself an injustice by not showing up for classes, because you will be at risk of not completing the qualification, which would be a real shame. Progress reports are distributed to the schools once a year, usually mid-year, and that goes also to your parents so they can see how you're progressing, and you also can see how you're progressing within your course area. There is a GoTAFE student code of conduct, which you'll be able to find in the student handbook as well as in our VETIS course guide as well. Awesome news. You found a course with us that you want to enroll in and you want to know how to go about it. So in the first instance, you need to speak to your Vet Careers Coordinator. There'll be a 2021 enrollment pack that you need to fill out, which will be required by yourself and a parent or a guardian to sign a few bits and pieces. All of the enrollments must be endorsed by the school. So as mentioned previously, the school must support your enrollment. You'll receive a confirmation letter for your particular chosen program, and you'll receive all details in regards to the course, the campus, orientation, and start dates later in December. So once you're accepted into the course, you will receive this confirmation with all of the information so you can look through. Please ensure that you pay your material fees to your school ASAP. Material fees aren't payable to GoTAFE. That does need to go through your school. So please ensure that is done to secure your spot in your course and make sure that you don't miss out on all the fun. Okay, important dates that we need to know. So as mentioned earlier, there are a number of courses that do have an application process and interviews also. Community services, education support, early childhood, and health courses. The applications are due before Friday, September the 18th. So if you are wishing to apply for these particular courses, you need to ensure that your application is in prior to that date for you to be considered into those courses. Once we have received your applications, you will be contacted by one of the GoTAFE trainers, and they will organise a time with you to come in and sit and interview. And from there, you will then be notified if you've been successful in being accepted into that class or not. Electrotechnology, as mentioned earlier, also has a pre-entry test. We will notify any of the students who have applied for electro when that testing will be. It's generally later on in the year. You will come in and sit your test, which generally takes a few hours. And we will then be in contact with you either the next day or the day after that to let you know if you have also been successful in securing a spot in electro. We do actually have some test resources as well, so please speak to your careers coordinator if there is a course like electro that you are wanting to enroll in. We can send some links to some sample tests so that you can have an indication of what you will be having to sit for that pre-entry. All other VET enrolments will close Friday, November the 27th. So all other enrolments that aren't those areas I've just discussed need to be in before Friday, November the 27th, again, for you to be accepted or eligible for those courses. Confirmation letters will be issued mid-December, and as mentioned earlier, that will have all of the information in there around your campus, where to go, what time, and all the logistics and finer details of what you need to know. Okay, so with all that done, 2021. So orientation is held on Wednesday, January the 20th. So that's when you will come in and we'll give you a brief overview of all things that you need to know, and you will be able to have the opportunity to have a bit of a tour of the campus and see where you need to go, because the following Wednesday, which is January the 27th, that will be your first day for your program. Your last day will be on Wednesday, October the 13th, and obviously you won't be attending in the school holidays, but that will be the duration of your course. Lastly, I'd just like to make mention to the fact that we do have capped numbers and limited capacity in all of our courses. So they are highly sought after, and we do ask that if there is a program that you're really wanting to enroll in, that you make it a priority to speak to your careers coordinator and ensure that you have your application and enrollment in to us as soon as possible. This is going to give you the best opportunity to secure a spot in those classes, because we'd hate to see you miss out. So I hope that's given you a bit of an overview of all of the course options that are available to you to study in 2021, and given you an indication of some of the really important information you need to know. However, our course guide, our VET DSS 2021 course guide, is where you need to go to find that program specific information. So that can be located on our website, which you can see there. Under the VETIS tab, but also your school should be able to provide you with some lovely glossy paper-based course guides that we have. So please speak to your school careers coordinator about where to locate one of those. Take it home, have a look with your parents, have a read over everything. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to give us a call on the 1300 Go TAFE number, or more specifically, please feel free to contact myself for Seymour and Shepparton courses, or Colleen for Wangaratta and Benalla, and I will provide those details for you in the next slide, as well as your school will have this information as well. So I hope that this gives you a bit of an insight. I hope you're excited about the prospects of enrolling in a course with us, because we'd really love to have you, and yeah, we hope to be hearing from you soon. Thanks very much for your time. Bye.
Thank you, Lisa. There's certainly some great opportunities there being offered by TAFE. Just to reiterate that VET runs on a Wednesday, that it's 2-year qualification, and that Greater Shepparton Secondary College are offering a range of different certificates themselves, and they include building and construction, business, community services, engineering, music industry, and sport and rec. And of course, they will be delivered on campus at Greater Shepparton Secondary. Counselling for course selection will be done in industry and enterprise classes, and it will commence this week. When students attend industry and enterprise class this week, they will receive a subject handbook, subject selection sheet with USI, or the Unique Student Identifier, application details, TAFE vet details and material sheet. That sheet will be able to identify whatever contribution, if any, a particular vet will make towards a VCE subject. Also, they'll receive any required TAFE application paperwork. Counselling will be done by the industry and enterprise teacher, as well as either a careers practitioner from that campus or one of the assistant principals. And those people who come into that class will bring with them a wealth of knowledge and understanding of subject selection and making good choices. Selections are due by Friday the 21st of August. The subject selection sheet is a 4-page folded document. The first page, you'll notice, has individual student information details. The second part of it includes details needed to obtain a USI. Now, all of the Year 10s are required to apply and receive a USI, because not only will the students completing a vet require it, but every student will need to have a USI for any training that they do beyond school or short courses outside of school, even things like first aid certificates. It's a number that you get from the government. It's a number that you keep for life. It's a bit like a tax file number. It just means that you can access subsidised training. The actual application process takes very little time at all. The tricky part of it is that students need to be able to identify a document that proves their identity. And our experience has been that, generally speaking, the Medicare card works best for that, but there are other options available. The other parts to the selection sheet are, obviously, one side has all of the VCE subjects, and you'll notice that it has a requirement for students to receive a teacher signature to get approval to be able to complete that particular subject. The students will be able to negotiate that with their current class teachers, and it's just to ensure that the subject that they are choosing is appropriate to their skill and knowledge level. And on the reverse of that is the side that is completed if a student wishes to do a vet. You'll see that it clearly identifies the difference between the GoTAFE vets, the online GoTAFE vets, and the ones being offered by Greater Shepparton Secondary on campus. When it comes to resources to assist in course counselling, subject selection, making some decisions about the future, the absolute go-to is the Greater Shepparton Secondary College Careers website. So it's a really easy website to be able to remember, just gsccareers.com. And there are a few things on here that I really want to spend some time pointing out to you. Firstly, under the Senior School menu, you'll notice that there's a GSSC 2021 Year 11 course selection option. If I click on that, you'll see there's a whole range of resources available, and these will be added to. One of the things in here that's worth noting is a prerequisite and course explorer with VTAC link. So for those students who think that perhaps heading to university is an option that they'd like to be able to explore, then if you click on this link, it will take them to a site where they can choose the particular course that they're thinking of including, and it will pre-select the subjects for you. And as you build that course list, you then ask, what university courses will that allow me to meet prerequisites for? And that might produce a list of 1,000 different courses. So that's a good tool to be able to use to check whether or not the choices you're making are going to close off options for you. Some of the other things that are on here are both La Trobe University and the University of Melbourne have Year 10 course selection resources on there. The students themselves have their own portal, and in that portal there are a range of different activities that they've been doing in their industry and enterprise class to help them identify the things that they're interested in, the things that they're good at. When they click on the student area, it takes them to their own portal with their own login, and in that they have a range of different tools that can assist. An interest tool, which allows them to do a quiz, and from the results of that quiz, they can see which particular careers might be suitable for them. In this website also, they are able to create their own resume, they can do a skills audit, and they can identify the kind of career personality that they might have. So this is a really valuable tool that your student will be using in industry and enterprise classes. Another thing worth noting from the careers website on the front page is a tool that often gets overlooked. And this particular tool, students can enter in a career of interest. So let's include plumber. And it will do a search through related careers. And each of those results has a link to further information like what are the personal attributes needed to be a plumber, what kind of education and training is going to be required, what the job actually involves, what the employment opportunities are, any specialisations or related jobs, and then some statistical information like the average age of plumbers, the future job growth in that particular occupation, the gender split in that particular job, the statistical median wage, what level of unemployment there is amongst people in that particular trade, and the level of qualifications. This really is a valuable tool, and you'll see that other related careers come up. So in terms of being able to do some research, this is the kind of tool where you could easily sit down with your child and investigate some of the options, and just to be able to generate a bit of discussion at home. And finally, another great resource for those people who are connected to social media through Facebook, we have a Greater Shepparton Secondary College Careers Facebook page. It's a public page, and on that particular page we post all kinds of information about employment opportunities or programs, in this instance about a program for those who have lost their apprenticeships with COVID, part-time positions that have been made available, other employment opportunities, virtual open days. Of course, with COVID at the moment, universities and TAFEs aren't able to have actual open days, so much of their engagement is now online. The Senior Careers News is always promoted on the Facebook page. That comes out every fortnight. Programs on applying for university scholarships. There's a whole range of different things, and that page is continually updated. No doubt you'll have lots of questions, and tonight we have available via your child's Microsoft Teams each of the career practitioners available for questions. Alternatively, send an email or phone the school in the coming days.